Let's get to the good part, shall we? We are an hour and a half into this wrestling program, and here Tony Schiavone is in the ring with Rick Ross. And when I first heard the announcement of this, I was like, who the fuck is that now? But I remember he's been on the program before in a pre-tape with him. He must be friends with Swerve. Apparently he's a rapper. Tony Schiavone just glorified him. 1 million selling recording artist, and this guy and that guy.
He's a big star.
Well, I don't give a shit. But the point is, he's there to mediate, quote unquote, that was the quote, mediate the face-off between Keith Lee and Swerve because they've broken up their team. Swerve has switched heel. Keith is apparently just confused. I don't know what the fucking deal with his. Rick Ross may be a celebrity to some people, but Jesus Christ on a cracker, don't give him a live microphone anymore.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons.
No, give him a live microphone every week.
Well, and that's it. I got to be honest with you. Obviously, I've seen and been around and been a part of segments that had different moving parts, and something would go off kilter or you'd have to cover for something, but I've never seen anything like this where it was like everybody involved in this segment, they just sent them out there and said, make some shit up on the fly, and they all had different ideas and did them at the same time. But Rick Ross grabs a microphone from Tony, and this guy is supposed to be the mediator. But we've already established, I think, in the interview a few weeks ago, he was friends with Swerve, but now he makes the big introduction for Swerve. He introduced, let's bring out the young legend, Swerve, like Merv. He sounded like Arthur Treacher. No music plays. There's a pause. Rick Ross says, hey, he asked for the music. He said, play the music. Do this thing upright. And then nothing's happening. And here, the Swerve ain't coming out. And that's when Ross turns around and looks at Keith Lee and just says right into the microphone on TBS, you know, you're a big motherfucker. And what the... And
it went out live, so if you're watching live like I was, you're like, did he just say that?
And it was done before they could even hit, because I'm assuming they're still on a 7-second delay or some kind of situation, because they've been bleeping in the past but they don't always catch it, but there was no effort to catch it because it came out of nowhere. Keith Lee goes over to the ropes and makes a cut his mic signal at his throat and makes a funny face to one of the floor producers off camera. And then Rick Ross is still talking. We coming to make history. He keeps saying, we're coming to make history. And then he just starts ad-libbing, just saying shit. And at that point, there's never any music plays. Swerve just comes out talking on a microphone. And he's in a long black coat, and he's dragging something that you couldn't see. It was like a bag or a sack or a box or something. You couldn't really see it on the camera shot. But he's talking, and he's saying that it sounds like a Bray Wyatt interview where he's saying shit, but he ain't getting to a point. But he said, I can't be putting up with all these accusations. And then Rick Ross starts doing Swerve's promo in the ring to Keith Lee's face over the top of Swerve. They're both talking at the same time. That's right. He can't be putting up with those accusations. And now Keith Lee is still standing there like, well, are you for me or against me? And he don't know what the fuck's going on. So then Swerve tells Keith Lee, you need to keep an eye out. You need to keep track of what's going on. As a matter of fact, you need to keep eyes in the back of your head. And then nothing happens. And then Rick Ross says, it's the young legend. We're going to make history. And nothing's happening. And then suddenly, Parker Boudreaux, who must have got stuck in that left turn at Albuquerque, was Solo.
Let's stop. You know who he is. No one out there knows who he is. The people who watch the show every week have no idea who he is.
Okay, well, listen to me for a second. He hits the ring, but he doesn't hit the ring and attack Keith Lee. He hits the ring and stands behind Keith Lee. And Parker Boudreaux, I now was going to explain, is the guy that they had signed in a WWE developmental, and he was there for a while, and they had big plans that originally, and then suddenly he was released, and he signed here, and we saw him once, and we haven't seen him again. It's been months. So, yes, you're right. Almost nobody in the building knew who the fuck it was. The announcer said Parker Boudreaux. So Parker comes from behind Keith Lee and spins him around and starts attacking him with some of the most awkward-looking shit that I have ever seen. It's like he was a bucket of disconnected arms and legs, just wailing away. And maybe this is why he got dropped at the Performance Center. Keith Lee never went down. He just went to the corner and kind of cut. This is becoming a running theme. Keith Lee doesn't really go down or sell. He just kind of leans over in the corner or on the floor and bundles up, and they just kick him. So Parker, boom, 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 hits him with all this shit. Keith Lee just bends over and sells in the corner, then goes to shoot him off, and Keith Lee reverses it and shoots Boudreaux off and clotheslines him over the top. And Parker got that bump, so he did that one. So then Keith Lee turns back to Swerve, who's still in the aisle, and Rick Ross has still got the microphone, and he's over in the corner going, whoa, whoa. Every time somebody takes a bump now, he's going to go, whoa. And Lee goes to start to go after Swerve, and some big tattooed fucker with a mohawk and a tattooed face jumps Keith Lee in the aisle, and Keith Lee sits down on the floor while the guy kicks him 10 times, and they look like shit because you can tell as green as Parker Boudreaux is, this guy is greener than chlorophyll.